Facebook. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the the Winning Move podcast. We have an awesome guest on today, Jorie Alston. But first, some housekeeping things. If you guys are looking for any type of outsourced staffing, virtual assistants, go to callmagicians.com. Thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Hey, no problem, man. I know you've been trying to make this happen for a few weeks. You know, I was in Puerto Rico. I get kind of bad service out there, so I want to wait till I was somewhere with stable connection to come on and hop on and talk to you.
So, I mean, how do you do your podcast from Puerto Rico?
I'm doing it from there. It's just I got a partner in my podcast, so there's days when my internet's kind of unstable. I just have him do it, but we still been doing it every week.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the spot I was at. So I've been living in Puerto Rico since November. We've been doing different Airbnbs. The last Airbnb I was at, we had some internet issues. So I kind of was on hold until I got to the new one.
Are you going to buy a house down there, or are you just going to keep going Airbnb to Airbnb?
No, we're actually under contract right now with a house. So we're doing that right now. We're in the process of that. So, and we're doing some cool things, dropping a container on some land and maybe doing a container home on top of the house, the existing structure right now that we have. So we're out there looking to buy. We're under contract right now for something.
That would be cool. What was the main reason you did move down there?
Man, I'll be honest, man. Like, so people say the taxes. Yeah, the taxes are a great benefit, right? There's a lot of tax benefits from moving to Puerto Rico. But it's just more one of those things where me and my wife we decide we want to do something, we just do it, you know? I can't even lie. I mean, we got married after being together for a few months, right? We moved to Miami, and we wanted to move to Miami, right? So it was like the pandemic hit. You know, me and my wife both lost our fathers last year during the pandemic, right? We're just kind of like, you know, we just wanted to get to somewhere with a little bit more of a slow down pace. We've been running like crazy, you know? Puerto Rico was always somewhere that we thought about moving to, so we researched it. You know, went down there a couple times and fell in love with it. Decided we would just move over there. So we're over there now, looking to kind of, like I said, we got an offer in a house that's accepted. So we're in a contract. We're looking to build, you know, like self-sustaining farm, water, solar, everything on our land. Got a couple acres, and I'm still running my business from there.
So, how'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, so I got into real estate. I'm a vet. I've been doing real estate since 2007, right? So
how old are you?
I'm 40.
You look good.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm 40 and I'm in Michigan right now because I just had my first grandson, right? So I'm a grandfather right now.
Oh wow.
But I got into real estate in 2007. So I got into real estate as a realtor, right? I got my license in 2007. I had moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I had been studying real estate, right? So I had been literally reading books. There was no YouTube yet. I had been reading books on real estate for probably like 2 years, you know. So we had just got married. My wife was still working. I was, you know, when we moved from Marquette, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula, we moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I literally didn't work for like a year, just study real estate. So I could get my license, right? Got my license and I jumped right in. And I got blessed. When I jumped into real estate in 2007, the market was like at the top it could be, and it crashed a month later. Literally, it crashed. Like the financial crisis came like a month later. But the broker I went to did REOs, which means real estate owned, which means foreclosures.
Oh.
So he was the number one REO broker in the state. And I went to him because all I wanted my license for was so I could get my own deals, flip them, and not have to pay commissions, right? So I wanted my license for that. So my whole goal into going with him was because he had the most investment deals, right? Back then, you had to open up the paper. You had to look in the paper for deals. There was no Zillow, none of that, right? So he had the most investment deals in my area. So I begged him. He didn't want me to work for him. He just opened up an office. He had 2 agents there. He's like, I can't train you. I can't do anything. I was like, listen, I just want to be here. You got deals. I need to be by deals, right? I'll train myself. And within 3 months, his buyer's agent left. I became his buyer's agent. We had the financial crisis, and we were selling like 150 homes, you know, a year that were foreclosures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I kind of just got into it. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was living on South Beach. I was trying to figure out the next role to go into, and I just kind of like, you know, started studying real estate. I wasn't born or raised by anyone who owned any real estate, right? Nobody ever told me about real estate growing up. You know, my father started doing some stuff, but me and my father were never that close, right? I had only met him once. I just knew he was doing some stuff in real estate, so I think subconsciously I wanted to like copy what he was doing, and it got me down that path.
What did you do before real estate?
Man, I was working in warehouses, right? My job before real estate was a Pepsi warehouse in the middle of nowhere in Upper Peninsula, Michigan, right? So before that, I was in college. So I was doing, worked at Blockbuster. I was in college. I mean, right after college, I didn't graduate. I went down to Miami. And then I met my wife shortly after that, and then I moved to Michigan. So, I mean, I was pretty much in college doing like the warehouse jobs and this and that. And then from that, I went to real estate.
What made it click for you what made you want to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Like, what took you there?
So I was always a reader, right? I mean, I was always somebody that read. Even throughout college where, again, I wasn't the best student in college, but I would always be reading a book, And one of my buddies was like, hey, you got to read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like, he told me, I read that book. And that book to me just kind of like made the light bulb go off that, I gotta invest in assets and own some real estate. And it was like a complete shift in my mindset. And so when I read that book, shifted my mindset, then from that point on, I would just buy, or I'd go to the library. I would go to the library and rent as many books as I could in real estate. I literally would have like piles like this, books. I bring them over from the library, just read them all, take them back, and just dug into it for like 2 years straight.
Bro. I mean, mine was, I really thought I was going to get rich playing in the NFL. So it was like, you better learn how to invest your money. Then I didn't make any money in the NFL. Right. But I at least educated myself, and it took me down this road.
Yeah. So you were on the path to NFL when you started investing and reading real estate, or what? What was that?
So I was, I was 17th in the country in tackles my senior year, all conference. I get a tryout at the Seahawks. My senior year, I had a sports hernia. And so I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I'll still go try out. And I thought I was going to make all this money, right? But the year I got picked up, they drafted Delano Hill, Shaq, and a dude named Mike Thomas. I played the same position as Delano Hill and Cam Chancellor. I was 6'1", 200 pounds. Delano Hill.
Freak. Delano Hill's a freak. I saw Delano Hill in high school because I was coaching in Michigan when he was at Cass Tech.
Bro, he was a fucking freak. Like, I get there, like, bro, I can't do that.
Yeah.
They had him in the nickel, and like, that's just not my game. I was like, man, he can play in the nickel, and he's that big. But I just like got into like bigger pockets and Grant Cardone stuff, Dave Ramsey, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it eventually just like led me down this long road to where I am now. But I really was like, bro, you are partying hard in college right now. You better learn how to invest your money because you know this is going to continue in the NFL and get worse.
Yeah. I think just like I said, somebody mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad to me. I read it. Thankfully, I read that book, and I took the stuff in. Then I got married and had a baby on the way, and it was like at that point I had to do something, right? And like I said, my first daughter was born. I was working at a Pepsi warehouse, like dumping out recycle bags. I was getting syrup on me all day. I was like, I'm not doing this, for too much longer. So real estate became my only way out. I just submerged myself into it until I was able to manifest it to become reality. So, and I've been doing that. I've been doing real estate since 2007, nothing else.
I was in the same spot. My girlfriend was pregnant, right? And then there's like no other options. When you say manifest, bro, are you like a big Bob Proctor guy, a big law of attraction guy?
I wouldn't say I'm a big Bob Proctor guy, right? I'm a big law of attraction guy. I'm a big manifest guy, right? I literally manifest. I'm very spiritual, right? I mean, I got an amazing relationship with God, and through that God, through that faith, I believe in manifestation, and I believe that if you say something, right? So one thing I tell my kids all the time, my kids will get mad at me because like I tell them about their words, right? Like you cannot say the word can't in my house. If you say can't, you got to do push-ups, you got to do something, right? I literally, that's how much that's important to me, that you don't say the word can't, So I'm big on, hey, if you feel like you can do something, you want to do it, right? Write it out, talk about it, visualize it, manifest it, and go make it happen, So I'm huge about manifesting and affirmations and goal setting.
Do you have your kids do vision boards or anything?
I wouldn't say I have a vision board. I mean, I sit them down and make them do goals. I'm like the dad, they're like, oh my goodness, So I make them do goals before each year, right? I think my daughter does vision boards on her own, like on her phone. Okay. Her phone has like all the stuff that she wants in the future. She doesn't even know it's a vision board. She's just doing it. So I'm big on that. I'm big on them setting goals. Also, I mean, I'm big on my kids doing what they want to do, right? So like, we're not somebody that forces our kids, hey, you got to do this and go to college, do that, right? My oldest son, he's a mechanic. He didn't go to college. He went to Voltech school in high school, became a mechanic, right? My second oldest son, he's in college now because he's playing football, so that's what he's doing. The next three, whatever they feel they want, that's the path they want to take, they can take it, So I'm all about, I realized that, man, you got to do what you love and love what you do, right? Or it doesn't matter. So I'm thankful I realized that at this age now, so my kids can realize that. Because when I was coming up, it was more about, hey, you got to do this, go to college, get a good job, get a pension, retire. That's not the way that I want to live life or have my kids live life.
Were you telling your kids affirmations all the time as they were growing up? That's one thing I've been trying to work on with my son.
Yeah, like you said, I've coached football. I coached football for about 14 years, right? So I'm a football coach at home too, right? So my kids have grown up around coaching, they've grown up around sports. I coached both my sons. My other daughter was in gymnastics. So my kids have always been in kind of sports activities. So like affirmations and goals is something that's big in our house.
I love that, bro. And then where's your son playing college at?
He's in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. That's up in Erie. Okay. Yeah, he's a freshman quarterback, so he's there right now. He just texted me today. He was playing last week. He was like, third, fourth string on second team. He's a freshman. Like, dude, that's what they're going. You're a freshman. You just got there. They're going to do that. He's number 2 right now in the depth chart with the 1, so he's all happy. But I had to settle him down for a minute. Like, you're a freshman. Just sit down, relax, do the job.
Oh yeah. So what happened after the REO stuff? When did you start flipping your own houses? I mean, because that's a decent amount of money doing that many REOs on your with that guy. Yeah,
you gotta remember REOs. So I was doing REOs in Michigan from like 2007 to like 2011. That like
okay.
What I was doing was like from like 2007 to 11. It was like I was 2007 to 2010. It was like the best time in the world. We were in a recession, but to us on our side, it was like the best time in the world, right? You're selling 100, 150 homes a year. But remember, those are like $1,000 commissions, right? These are like 20,000, 15, 10,000 homes, right? So you're doing a lot of work to make $150 a year, hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
But that was good. I was doing that. That was able to help me to find out. I only do investment real estate. Even as a realtor, I'm not the guy that you would call to say, hey, let me sell Strat's mom and dad's home. I can't put up with, you worrying about paying. I can't do that. I'm all about the numbers, So I was able to cut my teeth and build these relationships during the financial crisis through the REO business I was doing. And I did that. I would have done that forever. What happened was the market changed and I had to adapt, right? So around 2011 is when the financial crisis was at the bottom, right? What I'm saying the bottom was like when it hit in 2007, people had cash, they were still buying like crazy, right? Banks were still loaning, local banks and investors. Like when 11 hit, banks dried up, right? You couldn't get a bank loan anywhere, right? So only those guys who really, really had cash could still buy homes. And what happened was that's when it dried up in 11, 12, you saw the hedge funds rushed in, right? So the hedge funds weren't buying single family real estate. They were buying commercial units, right? REITs were made of commercial units. When the market kind of hit the bottom, there was no more bank financing. The hedge funds came in and started buying everything, right? So, I'm trying to sell REO properties, but I can't sell them because the hedge funds keep outbidding, all of my local buyers' offers, right? Like we're offering 25, the hedge fund offer 45, right? Because they know
45 non-refundable EMD.
Yeah. That happened on top of the banks changed their rules. So the banks, there's still what we call shadow inventory these banks still hold, right? What happened was there would have been so many houses on the market during that time. The banks literally stopped putting stuff in the market. Then when they would put in the market, what they would do is they would put these, 2 weeks before you can accept an offer clauses into a listing contract, right? So I'm coming up in 08, 09, a property hits the market. I'm the hustler. I see it first. I go out, I look at it, I write an offer, I get it tied up, right? I'm being rewarded for my hustle. 2012, 11, 12 comes. It doesn't matter if you see it first because the bank's going to wait 2 weeks to let every hedge fund see the property. And then they'll take the 20 offers they get accepted. So when that started happening, it's like, dude, I'm out here hustling still, but it doesn't matter because you can come see the house 2 weeks later, right? Offer double what I offer and, I won't get the deal. So that came to the point where I was selling like maybe like 1 or 2 homes a month, Wow. So I had to adapt. So the first adaptation was we started doing land contracts, right? We started finding, because buyers couldn't get approved for financing, I started selling through a land contract. And then from that, I started just wholesaling because like, dude, at this point, you can't find anything in the market. Around 2014, the market was like dry as far as finding homes in the market. So I had to start finding homes off market. So that's how I got to wholesaling. So
you want to explain to the people what a land contract is?
Yeah, a land contract is when, right, let's say I own a house and I sell it to Strat and I say, hey, you can buy this house for $50,000 or $5,000 down. So a land contract is owner financing, right? The only difference is on a land contract, me, the seller, I still own the deed. The property's in my name, I still own the deed. But Strat, my buyer, has all the rights of a homeowner, right? He pays me per month. I get principal and interest per month. I'm not a landlord, I'm the bank, all right, which is the key. That's the key difference. I'm the bank, so I don't do any repairs. I don't pay the taxes. I don't pay the insurance, anything. That's all taken care of by Strat. I get my principal and interest per month, but I still owe the deed and the title, right? I have more protection than if I just sold it to him with a note in the trust, a deed of trust.
So that's not possible in every state, though, right?
It is not.
I don't think I can't do it in California because I'd like to.
For Texas, you can't do it, right? You have to look and see if you're a contract for deed state, because the legal term is contract for deed, right? But certain places say land contract. I do deals on the East Coast. It's called agreement for sale. Some places use the term contract for deed, right? So you have to check what the rules are in your state. California, I'm not sure. I know in Texas you cannot do it. California, I'm not sure.
And well, in Texas, you can't do lease options either.
Yeah, Texas they have some different laws. I don't have any real estate in Texas, but I know a lot of people who do, and they have some different laws.
Right. And so explain why I think the land contracts are the best, right? Because do you still get the tax benefits?
You do. I get lots of tax benefits. You still could technically get the depreciation benefit too, right? I don't.
Do you or no?
I don't do that. I know people who do. I don't do that because I pass that off to the homeowners, right? They claim, right? So I don't claim the depreciation, but technically you could if you wanted to, right? It's just it's a sticky subject. Some CPAs say yes, some say no. I just want to stay out of that gray area on that one, right? So I don't do that.
Okay.
But I get lots of other tax benefits still. But the awesome thing is I still hold the deed, right? I still hold the deed. So I can go to a bank and get a loan on my land contracts, right? Because I still hold the deed and the title, right? So I can do a loan on that. Also, it's easier for me to get the property back in the case of a default, right? So for example, in Michigan has a what's called a redemption period, right? If you foreclose in Michigan on a property on a regular mortgage note, you get a 6-month redemption as a homeowner. On a land contract, the homeowner gets a 3-month redemption, and depending on the terms, it could be even less.
Wow. And so is that just like the Indiana tax sale thing, to where like they have 6 months to a year to come back, and then
Michigan and Indiana are pretty much the same. Yep. So if I buy a house at the tax sale in Michigan, let's say I bought Strat's house for $30,000, right? And the unpaid balance was, whatever it was. He has 6 months, depending on his loan terms, to redeem the property back, right? So I did a lot of tax sale stuff I did during the, financial crisis. We would buy houses there, and it happened a lot. But every once in a while, somebody will come redeem it from you. So what happens is you get paid plus interest, but they do get the house back.
Okay. Let's answer some of these questions. Blake, he was in Grand Rapids. What's going on? I think this is my dad. It's not his name though. What's it called? So did you ever wrap them and just sell them to a fund? Like, were you doing that actively?
I was actively selling them not to a fund, to other no buyers, right?
Okay.
So when you say wrap, when I use the term wrap, to me a wrap means I buy something on owner financing and then I sell or finance it to somebody else, right? That's what I mean as a wrap. So I don't know if you meant like that, or if you just meant that I put them together and sell them to a fund.
Right. Both. Right. So one of them, I was like, okay, well, if we buy a bunch of these, wrap them, then we could sell them off as a package to a fund, or just not even wrap them, just create the note. We bought it with our own cash or private cash, and then sold those off to a fund.
Got it. Yeah. So one thing I was doing when I started wholesaling, I was doing a lot of wholesaling, and then but I still knew guys who want to land contracts, right? So I know investors right now who don't want to own a rental. They're older guys. A lot of them are older guys. They want the cash, but they don't want to be a landlord at all. They want nothing to do with a landlord, right? Yeah. What I started to do was I started to wholesale notes, and I had a whole course on this where I would go tie a house up for a wholesale price, let's say $20,000, and instead of trying to find a wholesale cash buyer at $30,000, I would sell that house on land contract to an end land contract buyer for like $50,000 with $5,000 down, right? So I take that $5,000, and then I would take that $45,000 note I created and sell that to a note buyer, right? So I could possibly probably make $15,000 in that deal. And what happened was that note buyer would pay for it at close. So I wasn't buying it, selling a land contract, and doing. I was doing all that when my property was under contract and having my note buyer pay off my wholesale seller plus the profit to me. And so we were doing a lot of that where we were originating them. It was tied up wholesale, originate as land contract, and then wholesale that whole package to a note buyer.
Bro.
Yeah.
What made you think about even doing that? Like that's creative right there.
I mean, what happened was like I got this note buyer and I'm looking at my deals like, okay, this deal might not make, because when you're wholesaling, you're pigeonholed to like what that price can be for an investor for a rental or for a cash buyer for a flip, right? But I knew for a fact that I have a note buyer who will pay 80 to 84% of any note that we have, right? With no seasoning. He doesn't care about seasoning, right? So what I would do is take that same property and say, man, we can get 30,000 for this, right? Make 10,000 on a wholesale spread, or I can create a note and then wholesale that note and make 15 to 20,000, and he'll buy it with no seasoning. So when we did that, we just changed our mindset. It's literally mindset. I had a wholesale mindset to like, look, I'm doing everything I can to create notes, right? That's all I'm doing right now, right? So we started wholesaling those notes, and then I kind of evolved from wholesale notes to like, dude, why am I wholesaling notes when he's making all the cash flow? Yeah, I'm making 15.
That was my next question, bro. Like
he's making
doing that
15 years. So then I went and raised private money. We said we're going to just keep these notes ourselves, and we'll wholesale some here and there to raise funds. But for the most part, we're keeping 85% of whatever we lock up under contract now.
Okay, and I know you do it. You do it all over the East Coast. Do you have like a main market?
Is that my main market, or
do you have a main market? Because I know you go all over the East Coast.
My main markets are Western Michigan, right? So okay. Grand Rapids, basically from Muskegon down to like Benton Harbor, which is all of West Michigan, and then Central PA, right? So those are my main markets because I'm from PA and I was a realtor in Michigan, Grand Rapids for 12 years. So I have the most connections in those two markets, right? So we focus the most there. We have some in Baltimore. We have some in Indiana. I'll do it wherever the number makes sense. I'm doing a couple in Ohio right now in Akron. So if there's like wholesalers out there who have deals and say, hey, this deal's tight, or I want to do this, reach out to me. We'll buy all over if the numbers make sense. But we've been focusing on Michigan and PA because I have my boots on the ground and the system set up there in place.
And are you buying more free and clear creative, or are you buying sub 2?
I'm doing both, but most of them are free and clear.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, let's be honest. I mean, I'm still doing a lot of these with cash, private lenders. We do whenever we can find a seller to sell their finance to us, we're all for that, right? But like, 75% of my portfolio, 75 to 80% is still our private funds from cash, from lenders that we have.
I mean, that's infinite return.
Yeah, definitely.
So where are you finding buyers for these notes? That's one thing I've struggled with, man.
So are you saying buyers for the notes?
Sorry, not buyers for the notes. Like when you're creating the note and selling that to the next person.
Our seller finance buyers.
Yeah, right? Your seller finance buyers.
So people are asking, and to me, that's the easiest part of the whole equation, right? But now you got to build it up though, right? So like you have to actually get a deal and market it with those terms, right? If you market it with those terms, if I got my first deal that I'm going to sell seller finance, here's what I would do. I would create the terms, right? The main part about the terms are the monthly payment and the down payment, right? So your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, you want that to be about $50 to $100 underneath what market rent is, right? Because remember, you're marketing to renters. These aren't most of the people we sell to are renters or other investors who are going to rent it out. That's a different formula. But if I'm going to a homeowner end buyer, make that payment like $100 below rent, right? And then make the down payment something that's affordable, right? So we try to do 10% minimum on down payments, right? And then when I get that listing all together, we just blast it out, right? If I had no buyers list, I would go straight to Facebook Marketplace.
Bro, Facebook Marketplace is a shark tank.
I would go right there. I blast it out. Let me tell you, you're gonna get 1,000, right? Crappy spam messages back, 1,000 tire kickers, right? You will, but you're gonna find some buyers in there too. Believe me, it's a process getting through the tire kickers, but you'll literally find a buyer for your deal in that market if the terms are right from Facebook Marketplace. I would do Facebook Marketplace. We still do Craigslist, right? I'll put a bandit sign out in front of the house. Just put right 5,000 down, boom, boom, boom per month. Easy credit check, easy approval process, and they'll come to you. These buyers are everywhere. They'll come to you.
And so, what's it called? On all three of ours is above market rent. Yeah, I think yeah, it's all above market rent, right? And we're just like, well, yeah, you get to own a house, and our selling point was you can't get approved for a house anywhere else.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, and that is a selling point because that is true. I just like to be, I like to be on the rent because like that keeps them popping. We have right now. It's not even the point of us finding buyers. We got so many buyers coming to us because their cousin bought from us, right? Or I work with someone who just bought from us, or right now it's tax season, so like we load up. December, January, February, we load up on houses up north where it's snowing, where guys are all on vacation in Florida. We're buying everything we can, right? So our books look back. We just bought a ton of deals in January, February, we got a bunch of sales. But as soon as March hits, tax season hits, there's people, with down payments in their hand in their tax returns. So right now, I can't find enough houses. I mean, I got a list of like 15 people who need houses,
How long are these notes for when you're originating these?
Again, so that is strictly based off of the payment, right? So here's the thing with me. I don't want the house back, right? I don't want the house back. I want to make sure that the payment that you get, you can afford, right? We want you to afford the payment. We want you to be able to stay in the house, right? We want you to improve the house. Because another thing, we do all of ours as is. So we buy these houses as is, don't put a dime of money into them, usually, and then we sell them on land contract, right? This includes fire. We've sold houses that were burned down by fires, that were fire houses on land contract as is to other investors who didn't fix it up on their own. So our terms are going to be based off of what the monthly payment needs to be.
Okay. Because like I was talking to Pace, and Pace is like, bro, I don't want to do anything below 8 or 9% interest. And so that's kind of what I stuck with.
Well, yeah, my interest is 10%.
But your price point's a lot lower, right? Like,
yes. My interest is 10%. My average price point is probably $75,000 if you average ours out, right?
Okay.
That we're selling it on. And we do 10% across the board unless we got to tweak it because the price is too high, right? And so I changed the years. I changed the amortization schedule, right? I start off at 10% down payment, 10% interest, and then I'm twerking on the months. That's how I get the payment they want, because we have some for 30 years, we have some for 10 years, we have some for like 14 years, right? We got some for like 13.7 months. We're working with the months, but that interest hardly ever changes.
Okay, I like that. And so you don't even want to. For me, I want to make them as long as possible. What I'm running into, right, is like I'm feeling like it's a double-edged sword because I don't get any of the tenant bullshit, right, compared to the one rental that we have, but then I don't get any of the upside equity.
Yeah.
And it goes away. Like in 30 years, like my cash flow's gone and I got to go find more cash flow.
Yeah. So I don't just strictly do notes. I mean, that's the first thing. And we're buying, we just got a 10 unit accepted, yesterday. We got a 5 unit we're buying. So we're buying rentals at the same time. But what we try to do is we try to buy rentals where the seller's going to, like, if it's a multi-unit where the seller's going to offer seller financing at great terms, we're going to probably buy it and keep it as a rental, right? On a lot of those, right? So we do buy, and we don't want a lot of rentals, because the reason why I can do this virtually, where I'm in Puerto Rico and my partner's in Michigan, and we have homes in different states, is because of the notes. If you had to have management on these different places, with tenants, it's a headache, right? So we want to be a company that owns notes, but we understand that for tax reasons, we don't want to pay taxes, so we're going to go buy buildings at the same time. So yeah, we twerk it and we mix it together, for tax strategy.
Okay. How'd you link up with your partner? Is that the guy with your podcast?
No, well, I mean, I partner with a lot of people. I got a lot of partnerships, but my main company, my partner, his name is Mike. He was one of my investors. So literally, he was one of the guys that was buying houses for me in Michigan as a realtor, and then he was smart enough to say, hey, look, if you sell me a house, I'll pay you this on top of what you get from the bank. So he became my number one investor because I was making the bank commission plus, I was wholesaling before I knew what wholesaling was, right?
Yeah.
So, it just kind of, it evolved. When I moved to Florida, he was flipping homes in Florida. I'm a broker in Florida, so he was using my license to flip some homes, and he became my boots on grounds in Michigan on some stuff. And then we just decided to partner on the note side of it, But I have a lot of partnerships, but my main note company is that's how I met that partner.
Okay. And so when you go into a new area, are you just looking for new partnerships? Like if something does come in let's say Tennessee, are you taking that down?
If the numbers make sense, we'll look at it, we'll take it down. Yeah. And so what happens with that is I get a lot of deals, of course, from wholesalers, right? Who they're just like, they're trying to wholesale it. The numbers are too tight for them to wholesale it. And they know that I'm doing what I do. They'll say, hey, can you make this deal work, right? So we'll look at that deal. The numbers make sense, and we'll definitely take it down, and we'll have a note in that area. And if we now in the research in the area, we might say, hey, this is a good area. We'll start to try to buy more in that area. And we'll try to partner with. So we'll try to partner with somebody there to be boots on the ground. That's not saying partner as far as equity.
Exactly.
We're trying to partner with somebody to boost on the ground. Now, one thing that we're doing right now is we're trying to partner with wholesalers on the markets as far as saying, look, you wholesale, that's all good, but you're not creating any cash flow for the future, right? So all you're doing is wholesaling. So, you partner with us. We'll give you the systems. We'll get the leads, right? You do your thing at wholesale, locking them up, and then we'll do our thing when we sell them a land contract, and then we'll give you a piece of the equity in the future. Right. So a lot of people are partnering with franchise. They're making franchise and stuff. They're partnering with wholesalers to wholesale. Our model is kind of like, look, let's wholesale. Right. But our thing is we're going to do notes, and then you get a piece of that book. So if somebody's in Tennessee and Nashville and they're our partner in Nashville, they're going to piece of that equity of those books in Nashville.
That's the best. I think what Pace is doing is the best way to go nationwide. And what you're doing, right? To where you want some type of partners, or you give them everything and then they have some type of equity in it, instead of having to set up offices nationwide, bro.
And also, you know how it is. If you find somebody who's a really good acquisition guy, right, they can tie up deals, right? They're a good hustler. They can lock up deals all day long, but they usually don't like the back end stuff and all, of the business, right? But they're gonna lock up deals like crazy, right? So you just kind of partner alongside them and say, hey, you keep finding those deals. Let's just figure out a way where we can make some of these deals become, right, notes where you get some equity in that, because wholesalers is wholesaling. I was doing that for years. I mean, I was a realtor doing 150 homes a year. That's a lot of work, right? You're getting these checks and you're spending these checks. You're getting these checks and you're spending these checks, right? You're not creating the cash flow. And so my mind changed a few years ago. Like, I'm strictly, I want cash flow, right? I want cash. And so you talked about depreciation. You get appreciation in your note when you create it, right? So you are getting appreciation.
You can get it, when you create
most of our notes, we're selling these notes for over market value, right? And then we're amortizing them over 15, 30 years. You're making so much money on that note, right? You do get it. So that's one way to look at it, right? But I also don't really invest. I've never been an appreciation investor because I saw appreciation. Like, again, I came in on 7 and it went away overnight. Right? So appreciation to me has always been like this thing that can just disappear. I've always been like a cash flow investor, right? But with land contracts, I kind of build in appreciation at the beginning.
How much over market do you sell them at? We're trying to be not significantly above them, but I think market value was 225 and we sold one at like 250, 255.
Yeah, I don't try. I like you. I don't want to be like, hey, this house is worth 50 grand and we're selling it for $100,000, right? I don't want to do that, because all that creates is somebody saying I can just walk away from this house. I don't want it, So I guess it's like an as-is house. We can sell that house as is for pretty much right around the ARV, right? So when if they fix the house up, they're going to probably be right around the ARV with some equity in it, a little bit of equity in it, right? I kind of look at it more like that. Again, the market right now is so crazy. I mean, you can justify, there's so many values you can justify right now that probably 2 years from now, it will be that way. But right now, it's like I can find a comp to justify, my price pretty much anywhere at the moment, But we are trying to, I'm trying to make sure. I do a lot of these to investors too, right? So I'm not just selling to homes, right? A lot of investors in my markets, because again, my markets are lower price markets, right? A lot of inner city markets, right? There's no bank that will loan there, right? The loan values are below the $75,000 threshold, right? The homeowners in the area aren't credit worthy, by the bank. I find them credit. The bank doesn't find them credit worthy, right? So there's no bank in town. So literally, we're picking these homes for cash, selling them on land contract to investors, who then those investors put a little bit of money into the down payment, but then now they have cash to fix the house up, so they can do more deals, and they're going to rent the house out to somebody else, right? So we're the bank in these areas. So when we're selling to an investor, we're selling that thing where they can still make money, right? Either if they rental, they got a cash flow, so that means their payment to us has to be a certain number, or they're going to fix it up and flip it. There's got to be room there. So you got to be cognizant of who you're selling that deal to on each deal. So like every single deal has a different, formula it goes through, because is this a homeowner or an investor? And then we figure out how we price it.
That's so nice that you guys are in a lower price point, because one thing we run into is like we just can't even get the numbers to work. Like it doesn't even make sense for us to buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, but that and what's it called? We have a lot more at stake, so people want more money down.
Well, I was gonna say that. I mean, if you're at 250, I mean, you're gonna probably want. I mean, 10% is 25,000, right?
Right.
If somebody has $5,000, we're taking it. Like there's some deals here where like we might be selling for 70, we might ask 7,000 down, but they got 5,000 down and they're good to go and they got some closing costs. We can make the deal work. So that's why I say when tax season hits where I'm at, that refund is down payment. A lot of people get a refund back.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, buy this house, right? Use it on the house.
We went through so many. We collected like $65,000 in down payments off of 3 houses last year, but it was the longest process ever of getting those things sold and having someone who actually had the funds to make that happen. What? Go ahead, bro.
Well, I was gonna say, well, why aren't you looking at other markets though, right? Because with the low to land contract, that's the benefit of this.
I know. I will be, man, because like whatever. One of them just came across my desk, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I could buy this sub too, and we bought it, and we ended up making like 25 grand off a down payment, and so that ended up working out. And then the other, like all of them, just kind of came to us, and now it hasn't been super intentional, right? I got 3 rentals for no money down, and I was pretty excited, and I made some cash off of it.
Yeah.
Now it's not intentionally going after these things, and like little tertiary markets is the next goal.
Yeah, I've kind of made my living on those little tertiary markets, right? Because I was in Grand Rapids, right? I wasn't doing anything in Detroit. Detroit's the biggest city in Michigan. I went and found the second biggest city, Grand Rapids, right? Pennsylvania, I'm in like Pittsburgh and Harrisburg, right? Philly's the biggest market. Everybody runs to the big market. That's good, but I like to find these little small markets outside of the big markets and make a killing in them. That's
exactly. So, what is your vetting process for these for your buyers?
Got it. I like to say we do what's called common sense approval, right? We want to see proof of employment, proof of income, right? And that you have not had any huge like bankruptcy or foreclosures within the last few years in your credit report, right? If you can show us that, and I can see that your land where you're renting out right now, you're not being evicted, so I can prove you can make the payment we're at right now, right? And then you have 10% down, we can approve you.
Okay.
But we want to see proof of income, proof of employment. And so right now during the pandemic, a lot of people have a lot of money coming with this unemployment. We got to see some kind of job. We're not going to just give it to you because you have an employment coming in. No, we got to see some kind of proof of employment too. But it's just common sense. I mean, people are paying rent already, right? They're paying rent already. They're proving they can pay rent. They're proving they can make this payment, but they're not getting loans because of something on their credit, right? And this is all. It's still all what people say. People don't like to say that there's redlining around, but redlining completely exists to this day, right? It exists on loan limits. It exists on unfair creditworthiness standards, right? It still exists completely, right? And so there's no reason why someone's been paying rent for a house for 10 years, right? Can't own a house. They've been paying rent for the same house for 10 years,
Never missed a payment.
Yeah,
they've never missed a payment.
Rent increases every 2 or 3 years, right? But you tell them they can't own a house. I mean, we look at it and we just use common sense, man. We've been blessed because we haven't really had, many people not paying, even throughout the whole, pandemic. We've been really, really blessed.
I like that. So, I want to talk about you coaching and like your family life balance. My co-host of my other podcast coaches.
Okay.
And he's coaching right now, and he has no time, bro. How you got 4 kids? I know what it's like to coach, bro. That is intense.
I have 5 kids. 5 kids. So at the height of when I first started coaching, I had 5 kids. Well, I have 4. My youngest one wasn't there yet. So we have 4. And I got into coaching. I started a youth league on my own. So my sons were going to a Christian school that had no football program. Like, we can't do this. So I started a whole youth team in the league on my own. So there's a lot, coaching. Dude, I was just coaching. I just left Miami. I was coaching high school football. I was the high school OC in Miami for the last 5 years, right? So if you know anything about South Florida football, high school football is as big as it gets anywhere in the country, right? So like when I was coaching in Michigan, there's no spring football in Michigan. So the spring came, you have a little break. Miami, you don't take off. Like if your team's not lifting all year, then you're going to be behind, right? Mm-hmm. So, so it was literally a full-time job, And what happened though is coaching became like family time. Like my daughters literally, when they found out I wasn't coaching anymore, like they were like crying, they've grown up.
Wow.
they've grown up on a football field. They've grown up at coaches' meetings or them at our house. They've grown up with the players at our house, right? That's been like most of your life. So when you make it like part of your family, right, it makes the balance a little bit more better, you know?
Mhm.
And then on top of that, like stuff like I was the one that drove my kids to school, right? So every morning I drove them to school, you know, I'm talking to them in the car, right? Then I'm coaching my sons at practice, which is the worst thing in the world is coach your sons. I mean, it's horrible.
But you can't let another dumbass coach your son. Like I go to some of these practices and I see what they're having these kids do.
Oh yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
bro, it's bad. Like, there is no way in hell.
Coaching is bad, especially when you get to high school and these coaches are coming there because they got the best youth team in the league. They can't really coach, but they bring all these kids with them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of bad apples. So I did coach. Yeah, and that's the hardest part of my son going to college is like, yo, who's coaching him, right? Because he was the quarterback, I was the OC. So I mean, I literally controlled what he was doing for the most part, right? But the tug and war between you and your son when you're coaching them also is pretty tough, right? So like there are days we would come home and we're not talking because of practice. And we walk in her house, and my wife's just like, "Oh crap, what happened?" Because like he goes to his room, I go shut my door, he's shutting his door. We can't even sit down and eat dinner together, So that was tough on us. But I just made it part of the family, right? I didn't do a lot outside of coaching. Like people always say, "You don't golf, right?" Because it's real estate, everybody golfs. I didn't golf because I coach football, so I wasn't going to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go golf twice a week," and I'm coaching football. Like, you just have to cut out a lot of other stuff, right? Football became my extracurricular activity and hobby, right? So outside of football and work and family, that's pretty much all I did. So it is a pull, but when you include your family into it, right? I mean, I get up super early so that for myself, all the time I get for myself is usually in the morning. I get up like 5 a.m. in the morning, right? 5 a.m. I'm reading, I'm praying, I'm doing what I got to do to get my mind together, right? Because when those kids woke up at like 7, it was like from that point on,
Stop.
Work and family, So I gotta get my time in before that, And then it was just like you coach, right? You take care of the family, Family's part of the football team, football's part of the family, and that makes it a little bit better.
Does Florida have the fastest players in the country?
By far.
Bro, anyone I played from, like when I played dudes from Florida, I was like, man, that dude's fast. Like,
man,
fast.
The first time I coached in the field in Florida, I had to call my boys like, yo, and I'm from Western PA, I'm from Pittsburgh, right? So like I'm from Aliquippa, PA, like Ty Law, DeBro Revis, like these are like people that
dudes.
This is my town, right? So we know football. This is what we do. But first time I was on the sideline coaching in Miami, it was just a different speed. Like for high school football, different speed. And I'm just say Florida in general. Like you can be up in Tallahassee and you still see that same speed. It's just a different speed.
All of them were huge. How did you? So I don't think I've ever seen ego in coaching is bigger than ego I've seen in business. How did you pick out a school for your son? Because that's one thing I'd be worried about. The worst people I've ever met have been coaches.
Yeah,
like 100. Like, and you know exactly what I'm saying too, where you have that ego and they get off on controlling people's lives. How did you choose? Like, help your son choose that, and not be overbearing? Because I think about that as my son goes. I know he'll be somewhat athletic.
So my son went D2, and I think and it was hard. My son wanted to go JUCO, right? He really wanted to go JUCO, do the JUCO for a year.
I'm a JUCO kid.
He wanted to go to JUCO out in California, right? But like I was like, I didn't want to go JUCO, right? I didn't think he was JUCO, right? I mean, I know what JUCO is. Like he didn't know what JUCO was, right? But he was getting impressed by a lot of JUCO schools to go JUCO, and they were promising you'll be D1 in the year, And we took our time. Like he committed late, it wasn't a rush part, but we actually found, Edinburgh's D2. They had a new coach coming in. My head coach, who I coached for, actually knew this head coach, right? So you already know right there that when he's vouching for him, that's really well. And then what happened was there was so much communication because COVID happened and he hadn't picked the school yet, right? And so like teams, like I'm talking to this head coach a lot, just trying to get updates and stuff, right, before he even chose it. And so I was able to build some rapport with the head coach and the OC. And the thing with me, I knew the coaches were good, but it's like, what's the system? And can they coach, right? Like, because I know my son's a certain type of quarterback. And like, I know that because I put him in certain, and I wanted, one thing I know I did, I put him in the best position, position to win every game, right? But I see coaches who just do the stupidest thing. They try to, put a circle into a square, and it's like, no, that kid can't do that, right?
Bro, that system doesn't work with this dude.
Yeah, so the system was very, very big to me, and then just knowing the coaches around him. And we got, once again, I mean, God worked it all out to where I think he's in a really, really good spot with coaches who I know care for him personally, and the system is also a good system with, coaches who are smart. And on football, I mean, I see Division I coaches who know nothing about football. It's like literally, right? They're coaching Division I. I see D2 coaches who they're coaching football, but they don't even really know about football, right? I go to these conferences, laser clinic conferences and stuff.
Yeah, bro.
In these rooms, these coaches don't know what they're talking about. So as a coach, it was really important for me to know he was going somewhere where he'd be taught, right, how to get better as a player and the game mentally.
Well, football's just helped me. I love the film and game planning aspect of football more than anything else, right? Because I could just plan ahead, like, okay, I got this formation, I'll just go make this play. Because it, based off of these statistics, I'll win no matter what, and then I'll take the risk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great strategy game, man. Like just what it does to your mind, right? Because I coached basketball before too, but basketball is more like just roll the ball out there and play, right? Football is a true strategy game. Like the amount of film, and that's the worst thing. During the season was when it was tough with the balance.
Exactly.
I'm an OC having to watch film every day for an opponent, so it's a lot of hey, honey, I'm home. I'm with my wife and the kids for 2 hours, and 9 o'clock when they're going to bed, I'm gonna watch a film till 11, 12 at night, right? Still trying to run real estate business, so. It was definitely a lot of pull. I have a lot more time now. It's funny. I have so much time now. I don't coach football. It's crazy. I just realized I have all this time back in my life. Which is a good thing though.
What are you gonna do with all that time? What do you want to do with that time?
I mean, I'm big on giving back, right? So we went to Puerto Rico, but we went to Puerto Rico to give back too. So we volunteer at a farm. I'm volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club. I'm starting a youth flag football league out there in Puerto Rico right now, the Boys and Girls Club. I'm spending a lot more time with my wife and just the family. So I'm doing it in the right ways. And I'm not just my wife's fear was you can just do work all the time now that you have all this time off, right? But I'm actually being able to balance a lot more. I'm not just doing work all day long. I'm making sure that I'm giving back. And, at this point, I've been doing real estate for a long time, so you want to be able to enjoy the time. The best thing about real estate is the freedom, right? This is an amazing business. You can make great money, but if you're just working it all day long for the money, you're missing the biggest benefit. The benefit is the freedom. This is giving me the freedom to coach football, right? Because if I wasn't doing real estate, I wouldn't be able to coach football. I had that benefit. None of my kids went to daycare because if my wife was working, I could work from home, right? When she wasn't working, real estate gave enough income for her to stay home, right? So that's been the best benefit of real estate is the freedom it's given us.
I think it's funny that you didn't want your son to go to JUCO. Why don't you think he was ready, bro? JUCO. If you go to JUCO, you come out a man. If you make it out of JUCO,
no, I believe
you're
you.
A man.
I believe you. I definitely believe that. He just wasn't ready yet. He thought he was, but he just no JUCO. And that's what I told him too. He thought JUCO was gonna be easy. I'm like, dude, JUCO's not gonna be easy. JUCO's gonna be harder, right? I got plenty of friends that went JUCO route, right? It's gonna be harder. And my thing was, if you got a D2 offer right here, sitting here, right? I think you should weigh them both and do the D2. The thing with JUCO now in California is they don't give you anything. So you out there.
Why didn't he go to one of the good ones I went to Snow College and I had everything paid for. There's a couple of them where they pay for everything.
There's a couple of them that will. The ones that he was talking to weren't doing that. So that kind of If it was one that, because I know some of them that provide everything for you, go in there is good, but the ones that were coming after him were more hey, there's some off-campus housing 15 minutes away. You gotta, and I was like, look, you're not ready for all that right now. So you need to go somewhere with some a little bit more structure where you can be on campus and take some time to get accustomed to this life.
Oh my bro. I mean, I was there. We only had enough money to eat a instant pasta meal a day. It was the biggest struggle. And you got what's it called? The lack of structure there to where you see why the dudes who were D1 came back to JUCO because they're just a disaster, right? And then you got to it taught me to hold myself together and really monitor who my friends are, because you have dudes who are insanely talented and then they just disappear into the ether to where they would be making millions and millions of dollars today.
I know so many of them. I mean, from my hometown, man, there are NFL Hall of Famers on the corner right now in my hometown, right? Who right. I mean, these dudes were the best, right? I mean, they were the best. The dudes on their team that went to the pros weren't the best man on that team, right? It was the other dude, but they couldn't handle that life after high school when, you were no longer given the world. You had to kind of take care of yourself. So there's a lot of those.
How are you, when you say giving back, how would you say you would fix that? Because that's something I think about all the time of how I can get to kids and help them be more successful.
I think, right. So here's my thing, man. Being that I coach high school football, I've seen a lot of stuff that's wrong with our education system, though, right? Like I literally saw our education system really, I got a lot of teacher friends, but it's really failing our kids. You got let's just take the football angle. So many kids, that I've seen, you push them football, get a scholarship, go to college, right? It don't even matter. Just do good at football, go to college, right? Well, there's some of these kids who are good at football in high school, but really don't want to go to college, right? If they don't get that D1 offer, they don't want to go to college. And then it's like, what else have we prepared them for? All we told them to do was football, college, move on, right? Like I've seen this with my own eyes, So me personally, what I've been doing already is I got some guys that text from me, right? So they're my lead generators. They text me back. They're all former football players. I got 5 of them right now, right? I either coach them all, or one of them is my son's roommate. He's on the football team at Edinburgh, right? Right. So they all do some entry level lead generation stuff for me, but at the same time, I'm teaching them real estate, right? So like,
or skills, bro. I had no skills. Yeah. I had to do real estate because I had no fucking life skills.
Yes, yeah. We got to give them other options and saying go to school, get a job. Because like a lot of these kids don't want to go to school, get a job. I mean, we got entrepreneurs in the street who could start businesses, but like they were taught to only do one thing. So it's like you got to show them other ways. I mean, I was the coach who who owned real estate, who would come to practice and say, hey, look, you better buy some Bitcoin. Right? No other coaches. This was 2007. No other
coaches telling you
I
that,
was
bro.
telling my players in 2017 to buy Bitcoin, right? No other coaches were even talking about Bitcoin, right? They were joking, making fun of me. But look, now these kids are like, oh, coach, you told me back like 4 years ago you told me about Bitcoin. Yeah, because I'm trying to teach you something besides, like, I'm the entrepreneur who also was coaching, where most of the coaches were still teachers in the building, or they were educators. So we had different kind of mindsets. My mindset was like, if you're good at football, take this to the top level. But if you're not, I've told many kids, if you're not going to the NFL, right, then do you want to do this? Because if you don't love it, if you don't love football and you go to college, you're going to drop out. I see it all the time.
You're going to drop out.
They go to college, they're going to just quit and come back home, right? So don't waste time, right? If you want to get into this, get into that, get a trade, learn this, learn that. We got to kind of build. Our schools aren't building any kind of like plan for our kids. It's just like, hey, go to school, graduate, go to college. And those kids who don't want to go to college, right, they just come back home and them not knowing what to do.
Bro, I mean, so how many of your kids, I was legitimately math illiterate because I was so good at football, they didn't make me do anything in school. It's the number one thing I wish wouldn't have happened. To where I got to college, bro, and I had to have a tutor every day to help me with math. And now what's my entire job? My job is math. Yeah. Right? But it was bad.
I was blessed. So the high school I worked at the last 5 years had a pretty strict policy on letting kids in, right? They were more about academics than they were about sports. So it wasn't one of those schools. We lost a lot of good kids because they couldn't get through the doors. But I've seen some of the kids that did get through that got to us and was like, these are kids in 8th grade. And you can tell that they've been passed through their whole life, right? Because they come to our school and they would end up flunking out of our school because our school's going to put you on a real program, and they couldn't do it because from 1st to 7th, nobody taught them anything, right? They just pass and pass. He's a football player, pass and pass and pass. And well, it's like you said, that doesn't help you in the long run, right? It doesn't help you in the long run. So I'm also somewhere right now where my kids are homeschooled right now, and like I tell my kids, don't stress over you need to know the core stuff. But also, we're not teaching our kids everything we should be teaching them. Like we're wasting a lot of time teaching them stuff that they don't even need, So
at all.
My daughter's in 2nd grade. I'm the homeschool math teacher, right? I had to teach her 15 ways to subtract, and none of them are the way she's going to use every day. Like let's just teach. Like I'm teaching her how to regroup and do all this. It's like this is a waste of my time. I could be teaching her way more stuff than this, So our education system needs an overhaul, right? We need to find out a way how to, teach kids everything, but kind of find what kids like, and maybe kind of like show more effort into what kids like, like we've lost the arts in our schools, right? So any kids who are in arts have to go to magnet schools for arts, right? We're just kind of putting everybody in one box, and it's like if you're not in one box, it doesn't work for you, and that's why a lot of our kids are failing.
Without a doubt. I mean, I love the arts. I wish I would have done so much more because I snapped my ankle my senior year. And then my junior year, I tore my hamstring and I went into a complete meltdown because I was like, bro, you're not going to the NFL now. Like schools quit talking to you. Yeah. All this stuff stopped. Where's all my like personal value placed? There's in me being a football player. And then like That was one thing that I try and tell most people, right? Like, bro, you're more than an athlete. You know how to make money more ways than an athlete. Because now I have friends in the NFL, and like I have weekly calls with them. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're way more than this. Like, you need to focus on this now. I'm talking to my best friend last week, and the number one thing he needs to focus on is football. He's like, I want to learn real estate. I was like, bro, I can teach you real estate, but you only have this skill that is monetizable for this much longer, and you'll never be able to use this skill to make money again.
Yeah, definitely.
Focus on that.
That's so key that you just said that too, because at that moment right now, his most important aspect is that football talent, right? But while he's doing that, is thankfully, hey, somebody like you can kind of bring him along in other sport. But he starts to focus on making that money because that money is short-lived, right?
Bro,
football
so short-lived,
right? That's why that, and the reason why a lot of these players come out of their career and they're bankrupt and broke is because you think about it. Nobody taught them how to do anything with money their whole life. They were just given it all. Then you get a bunch of money, and there's still nobody teaching you how to use money, but you expect them to know how to manage money. Like it's just craziness what we expect people to do in this country when you never teach them how to do it, you know?
Well, then people come up to them with business ideas. And I'm not trying to put my friend on blast, but he was going to make the sales calls. I was like, what the fuck are you doing making the sales calls, bro? Like, you're going to be a passive investor. You're going to work on growing your social media brand so you can monetize that. And you were going to go watch more film. Like, nothing else. Like, there's no need for you to be in business. Like, that's not what's going to make you your money. I just don't like, and people don't show them that either. They didn't even give him a CPA. I sent him my CPA.
He's in the NFL now?
Boy, he plays for the Cowboys.
Wow. Yeah. That's a big deal. I see it all the time, man. I see these guys coming from Miami. They come back to Miami from the NFL, and it's like, nobody has said one word to them about how to do their finances. Not one. And they fall. I've met a lot of NFL players that I talk to who have fallen victim to like the scams, right? A lot of scams, So that is one thing on my mind. I know a couple. I ran a couple 7-on-7 teams too. We went across the country.
Hell yeah.
So one thing I was trying to build in Miami before I left there was, I was trying to build a program where it starts at 7-on-7, but then we're mentoring, we're doing financial literacy, we're doing entrepreneurship. And then when they go off to college, we're providing them with financial services and agents, right? Kind of like if you came through our program and our family, we're going to make sure we take care of you the whole way. So that's something that I have been to some talks with people in Miami about.
Bro, it's so needed because you just don't know what you don't know either. Especially when you get that type of money and then you think $200,000 is a lot of money. 3 family members ask for some money and then you don't even got money for taxes, right?
Yep.
That's what you're going to run into.
Yep.
And we'll move off of this, bro. I want to talk. How did your little kids take moving over to Puerto Rico? Like, did you get pushback from that? Like, I just imagine if I have 3 kids, they'd be like, I miss my friends.
Well, yeah, my oldest daughter is sitting across from me in the living room right now. She got her headphones on now because she's the one that pushed back the most. She randomly tells me, I didn't ask you to move to Puerto Rico. You did this on your own, So she randomly tells me that, but they're loving it. I think they're loving it. So they're enjoying it. They're getting involved with stuff out there right now. They live a good life. Like they live in Puerto Rico. They live on the beach. Like they can't really complain that much. They just don't know how good it is yet. Like who else lives in the all their friends are in Michigan in the cold. They're living on the beach or in Miami, they're living in Puerto Rico with horses running around all day. So they got it.
What made you want to be 100% self-sustained?
Man, I'm just like I said before. I read. Like I'm one of these guys that absorbs now. I just absorb stuff, right? So like I read. I go down rabbit holes and all kinds of stuff where I probably shouldn't be going. Some might say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but everything that I say it does tend to happen. I'm just starting to kind of see like just the breakdown in government, right? And how at this point in life, like we can't depend on our government for everything, right? So you look what happened in Texas. Texas had that huge issue in Texas, right? I know what happens in Florida when hurricanes come. You could be out of electricity for, weeks to a month, right? So our government has made us try to be dependable on them so that they can do whatever they want to do. Oh, we'll take care of you, but let us do what we want to do. I don't believe in that, right? My thing is like, look, I really want to be somewhere where the first thing was food. I became, I'm not plant-based 100%, but I'm a high plant-based pescatarian, diet.
Okay.
I did that a few years ago for health reasons, right? So I'm really big on the food that I eat and trying to have, my own farm, right, with our own food there, farming our own food because our food is all contaminated, has all kinds of chemicals in it. I want to have solar. I want to be able to have something where if something goes down, right, at least me and mine can be safe, taken care of. I think we're supposed to, right? I don't think we were ever created to be able to depend on the government. That's not what, when I read history and the Bible and stuff like that, that's not how they live. They've kind of brainwashed us to think that now, so I don't want to ever be stuck where it's like, hey, the government couldn't come take care of me. So that's just been my new goal, man. It's just like, hey, cash flow and be able to take care of me and my family, So in Puerto Rico, we're definitely building something that's going to be able to, self-sustain us.
I love that. What's it called? My friend just bought the largest. So he bought 30 acres with the largest hydroponic system to where it's all the energy is generated by some stream.
Okay.
And he's a conspiracy theorist like yourself. To where he but he's like, oh nope. He moved from Fresno up to there.
Mm-hmm.
Just building this whole thing out, all self-sustained, same thing, plant-based. And
he
buys a bunch of notes in Indiana.
I kind of feel like it's I'm trying to think of the word. It's not stupid, but like it's just not smart to not be able to have these systems in place for yourself, right? Because look, things are going on right now that we didn't think were going on. So we gotta be prepared. So I'm trying to be prepared. Like I said, I'm a mission right now. I'm a grandfather right now, man. I got to take care of generations beyond me. That's my, that's the goal. So I'm not going to like take care of them and give them things, but I want to have the infrastructure in place where they can be able to take care of themselves one day. So that's the new goal, man. If something goes down here, I'm gonna have something over there, and maybe I'll find somewhere else. I'm looking for other spots to buy some land and just kind of create something.
And then, so where do you think Bitcoin's going?
Bitcoin, if you ask me where I think Bitcoin's going this year, 80 to 100,000 this year, right? But to me, Bitcoin's a long play, whereas like it's not going away, right? It's going to be here. It's a store of value, right? It can be used as a currency, right? It's a finite supply, so there's a number of how many you can have. So because of that, it's going to continue to go up, And I think it's more of where I think the dollar's going, right? I don't know exactly where Bitcoin ends up. I know where the dollar's going to end up. I don't think the dollar's going to end up where it is today, right? So I think one day our dollar is not going to be the world power currency. It's going to lose a lot of value when that happens. My plan is to have assets, right? Real estate, gold, silver, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin is going crazy today, right? So I'm not a crypto trader. In 2017, I was like trading crypto. I was like getting on there doing all this stuff. And I realized that I was like not doing real estate because I was all day on crypto. So now I just buy a little bit of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, some stuff. I buy a little bit every month and just let it sit there.
Okay. Have you heard of Cardano yet?
Yeah. I knew about Cardano in like 16, 17. Yeah. ADA.
What's it called? Austin Rutherford told me about one of his friends bought 13 million when it was at like 3 cents.
Of Cardano?
Of Cardano.
Wow.
Or like 3 cents or 0.003 cents. Regardless, he bought 13 million of it at a cent to where it's at now. Like, bro.
Yeah. No, there's a lot. Honestly, man, I kick myself in the butt. It's like I've always been like a real estate guy. I don't really invest in stocks a lot. I don't. I'm in real estate, so I've kind of focused in real estate and took a lot of my time. I should have put way more money into Bitcoin, right? Like when it went down after 2017, I should have been just buying a lot. But, again, I have so much money tied up in real estate, like that most of my stuff is there. I just put what I can, into other stuff. But I know real estate. I'm comfortable with real estate. I can control real estate. I can hold real estate, right? If it goes to zero, I can still rent it out, so I can still make money off of it. So I like having that asset. But you would be stupid to not invest in crypto in some way.
Oh yeah. When you're down there with all the crypto like gods, right?
Puerto Rico is like crypto. It's like crypto heaven.
Yeah. Then you got Peter Schiff, who's all about gold.
Peter Schiff is anti-crypto. Yeah. Peter Schiff is he's down there too. Hey, we can do a whole different show one day on the benefits of moving to Puerto Rico from the States, right? Because you can look up Act 60 and just look up Act 60 and you'll see why you should move there from the States. But there's a lot of Americans, or they call us expats, moving to Puerto Rico right now. A lot of people doing it for their financial reasons. Me, it was more about just lifestyle, right? The cost of living is lower than Miami, and just basically being able to give back in a bigger way. That's why we did it. But there's a lot of stuff going on in Puerto Rico right now. A lot.
All right, man. Do you have anything you can leave our people with? Any parting words? And where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me. My Instagram is the Alston Group. That's right there, right? On YouTube, I got a channel called Shut Up and Invest, right? That's on YouTube. It's called Shut Up and Invest. We do a weekly show Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, live show. I have to have you come on, Strat, so I'll hit you up to come on to our show. We also do a lot of content. We got a free virtual investing course that you guys can find right now. It's a free course that me and my partner Kevin did. That's at www.shutupinvestclub, and you can put that in the notes, but we have that too. My podcast is called Shut Up and Invest, right? And so basically I just tell people, like you said before, I'm very big on manifestation, right? I'm very big on you got one life to live. So, right, if you got one life to live, don't waste your life angry, miserable, mad, right? Figure out what you want to do and go do it. It's not going to be easy. I've failed plenty of times in real estate. I've lost it all and got it back many, many, many times, right? I've learned that, money is easy to make, right? So I don't base my life on money, because money can be gone and back in the day, right? I base my life off of happiness. And what makes me happy is, I don't need a lot, right? I'm in Puerto Rico. I don't need a lot. I don't need the cars. I just want to be able to have happiness, family, right? Health. And real estate has provided that for me. So, if you have a dream to to do big in real estate, then I would just say, write that dream out, go after it. It's definitely achievable, right? Nobody gave me a handout, upper hand. I came into this with nothing and just kind of, self-work my way up to where I am right now, so, but the main key is just shut up and invest and, don't get stuck in paralysis by analysis. Just go out there and do it.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jorie, please send me a text to that website and we'll post it everywhere. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.